guys, it's Friday afternoon. What are the Liberals hiding today? Nothing, I don't think. Okay, so we got Pierre Poilievre. He's giving a bit of a speech in BC. So let's have a listen and see what he's got to say.
I'll start with a question. How is it possible for a single mother to pay $3,700 a month in rent for a two-bedroom apartment? Well, that is what's necessary here in Vancouver. Today, we got news from rent.ca that the cost of rent across Canada has doubled, has increased faster than at any time in Canadian history. Housing costs under Justin Trudeau have doubled. Rent has doubled. The average mortgage payment has doubled. The needed down payment for the average home has doubled. It now takes 25 years in Canada's biggest city to save up for a down payment. It used to be, before Trudeau, 25 years is what it took to pay off a mortgage. Now it's what it takes just to get a mortgage.
Yeah, let's just think about that for a moment. The price of rent, it's absolutely crazy. And 25 years just to save up for a house before you can even start buying the house. That's mental. That is just crazy mental. That's what happens when, you know, everything goes out of control. Things just go crazy. Like printing, it's like printing, not printing money, just printing your own price labels.
9 in 10 of our young people believe they will never afford a home. This is the first generation of youth in Canadian history that has given up on home ownership. Housing used to be cheap in Canada. It used to be, you got a job, you graduated, by your mid-20s you could afford a home. But after 8 years of Justin Trudeau, that dream, like everything else, is broken. And then there's grocery prices, which are up more than 21% in the last 3 years alone. After the Trudeau NDP carbon tax applied on the farmers who make the food and the truckers who ship the food, and therefore applies on all the food itself.
Well, you know, guys, we've discussed carbon tax and carbon tax 2 on this channel many times. And as Pierre's saying, it filters down to the food and the food that we eat and the price of the food. That's what we've been saying all along. The Liberals deny that. They just say, oh, well, we'll give you a grocery rebate. We don't want the rebates. We just want decent priced food that we can afford.
After 8 years of Justin Trudeau, 1 in 5 Canadians are now actually skipping meals because they can't afford the price of food. 1.5 million going to food banks. Food banks are now oversubscribed. Our homeless shelters are overflowing, and decent people are now living in the streets. I just came from Penticton, where one community support worker told me there are now 70-year-olds, middle-class people, living in their cars because they can no longer afford the rent. They've been rent-evicted. The landlords come in and make a small renovation, kick the tenants out, double the rent. They have nowhere to go.
Did you notice that he left the food prices on the shelves? Unlike Freeland, who took them all off. She had all her aides to take all the prices off.
We saw a story just yesterday of a lady who's a nurse, living in her van. This is life in Canada after 8 years of Justin Trudeau. It's not only unaffordable to eat, heat, and house yourself in Trudeau's Canada, it is also a dangerous place. Crime is soaring right across the country. Just yesterday, we saw the horrible story of a mother stabbed by an offender who had previously violated 16 probation orders. The catch and release criminal justice system that Justin Trudeau legislated and the NDP supported allows the same repeat violent offenders to commit one offense after another and be released onto the streets without consequences.
This catch and release, it's absolutely terrible. Trudeau's brought this in to defend criminals. He doesn't want law and order in Canada. How can you just keep releasing reoffending criminals, even criminals with gun possession stuff and knife possession, and even criminals that have committed serious crimes? They're just released. It's ridiculous. We can't have this in Canada. It's got to stop.
Here in Vancouver, the same 40 offenders were arrested 6,000 times. 6,000 arrests for 40 offenders. That's 150 arrests per offender per year. No wonder crime is rocketing after 8 years of Justin Trudeau.
Pierre went on to say how he would solve everything by getting rid of carbon tax, lowering prices, and bringing paychecks home to people. His usual banter that I've just left off this video. However, then he was asked about his comments of labelling the Economic Association of Europe a phony body, and this is what he had to say about that.
I think anybody who suggests that you can raise energy prices without raising inflation is phony. I think there's a lot of these groups, that interest groups, that don't worry about the costs to working class people. They jet around and attend their seminars in fancy hotels around the world, and they expect single moms to go hungry. They have no problem forcing jobs out of Canada to more polluting foreign jurisdictions. So I do think that is a phony socialist approach. My approach is to bring home lower prices by axing the tax, bringing down energy costs so that Canadians can afford to eat, heat, and house themselves.